So let's look at mediation. Mediation is a very popular form of ADR. How does it work?
The key ingredient to mediation is a mediator. And so the parties, having decided that they will mediate a dispute, then have to appoint an independent, neutral third party to help them resolve the dispute. And the role of the mediator is absolutely critical to the success of the process. And therefore, a lot of time is spent in making sure that you choose the right mediator. Or if you don't spend that time, you may regret it subsequently.
That's interesting. So what does the mediator actually do in the process?
Okay. Well, the mediator will need to understand what the dispute is about, and will want to know the history of the dispute, will want to know what the client's interests are in the dispute. So they will get a briefing from both parties, but also they'll want to have a conversation with the parties before the mediation itself starts to take a view of the territory that's going to have to be dealt with in the mediation itself. And then once the mediation is underway, the mediator will, in effect, convene a meeting and chair a meeting between the parties. The actual shape and conduct of that meeting is infinitely variable depending upon the needs of the case. But essentially the mediator will sit there and chair a discussion between the parties as to what it is that they're looking to achieve and try to drive the conversation in a way that's helpful to finding a resolution. That may, at times, require the parties to actually stand up to each other and say what their positions are in a quite formal and legalistic and sometimes quite an aggressive way. But that's part of the process. It's part of a negotiation that people have to say what their demand position is before they can move on through the services of the mediator to try and find middle ground.
Great, interesting. And when they find that middle ground, what happens then?
Well, when they found the middle ground, that normally is after a full day of a lot of hard work and often into the small wee hours of the night. But having found that ground, it's really important, if you possibly can, to get the parties to sign a binding settlement agreement before they depart from the mediation. Otherwise, there's a tendency for them to think again about the situation and have other additional thoughts and or issues that then have to be mediated through as well. So getting a signed settlement agreement at the end of the mediation is very important.
And that rounds off the mediation process.
That wouldn't round off the mediation process. I mean, I think it's important to say not all mediations conclude with a settlement, but that doesn't mean that they haven't been successful, because both parties will better understand their own cases and their opponent's case as a consequence of the detailed dialogue they've had about the case. So they don't all settle on the day. Some of them, the negotiations will continue for months afterwards. And I had one which settled a year later.
Wow.
But on the anniversary, strangely enough, of the mediation.
Oh, how lovely. Yeah. Interesting.